Am I ready? I was born ready, and here we go. Hey, I'm Sebastian on it, the almost naked CEO. And I'm here because I care, because I give a damn. And what luck! The almost naked CEO is here with the almost naked conversation. In this show, I don't know what's happening. In this show, I talk about things that are either taboo or conversations, dialogues that are not happening, that should happen, things that people are either ignoring or have been taken for granted, and we have just become complacent about. So this almost naked conversation is about starting the dialogue on topics and issues and concerns that we need to address as humanity. And today I have a very interesting topic. I'm itchy, scratchy, pardon me. And this is why I shave. So I haven't shaved today. Teachers, they are, and I'm not going to look down anymore because it looks like I'm reading and I've been told by my producers to not look down. So I'll look at you guys. So teachers, teaching and teachers, where do they stand today? Teaching used to be one of the most respected job. Teachers used to be someone we respected before gods, before religion, before anybody else, before our own parents. In many, many cultures, it was literally, the teacher was um, meant to be worshipped before God. I keep saying was because it used to be, and it's not really the same these days. Things have changed a lot. I myself have seen disrespect towards teachers, uh, misbehavior with teachers, poor salaries, poor conditions. It's just crazy. I, being the child of two teachers, know what a teacher has to go through. I understand what teaching job is all about. And if you're not passionate about it, you're not the right person to be a teacher. So today we are going to be talking about teaching to empower. In I have a very special guest today, Helen Bawden. She is my friend. She's somebody who's really a teacher, an artist, a performer, so many more things, but most important thing, she's a humanitarian. She's a person who cares about other people the same way. She's very pro equality. She's very much about respecting people. And I think that's what a teacher is, isn't it? That is what teaching to empower is. You live what you preach. You don't just talk about it, you actually live the exact same way. So, without further ado, let's see a little bit about Helen in her own words.
Hello, my name is Helen, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a long-standing teacher also. And my story is that I had grown up as a very confident person in terms of the fact that I became a performer and always got picked up for solos. When I entered the world of work, I was immediately again given big responsibility, which meant a lot to me and made me really grow up somehow. And I enjoyed that feeling of being responsible and being capable. And that journey took me all the way through from my childhood, my teens, my 20s, even my 30s. And just as I hit my 40s, something major changed. I'd actually achieved my dream job, and it was a multicultural college that I'd been a student at 10 years earlier, and I'd had a kind of vision actually one night as I stood in the dark just looking at the building, and the words that came to me were, I'm standing in the place where I'm going to meet my future colleagues, which I didn't understand because I was actually on my way to Scotland to live and to work. But life did its thing, and 10 years later I was back, and I was a member of staff, and I took on the teacher training course to teach at the college. And so I was there in my dream job. I started traveling, taking my work to Norway, to Russia, to Sweden. And I met fantastic people, 42 different nationalities we had at our college. Life was good. Yes. So if you want to know how I actually managed to rebuild my life and re-find my confidence, because that was the biggest thing that was shot to pieces, then do tune in. Bawden, and I'm an entrepreneur, and you are watching Dramaniac TV.
And let's bring Helen Bawden, my friend from UK, a beautiful person, an amazing personality. How are you going, Helen?
Yes, it's extraordinary hearing yourself back, you know, and your story.
Well, you know, it is true. For me, the way you came to support me on an issue that shows, you know, racism, that shows discrimination, that shows bias, and out of nowhere you come and defend me. To me, that is what a teacher is. To me, that's where somebody is actually living the life they're teaching about, the values they are teaching. So for me, that is, not only I'm grateful, I am, it's refreshing to see that people still do that. It's refreshing to see that people actually, you know, talk the talk and walk the walk. And you are one of those people. And as you know, this is Almost Naked Conversation show. I know in the introduction, we talked a little about your personal journey, which is coming on another show. So stay tuned, guys. There's another show Helen is coming on. So tell us a little bit more about you, where you're from, what you do, everything.
Where I come from, UK, West UK, little small town originally, and I've been teaching now for over 40 years, and that teaching has covered. It started off being my peers, actually, because I used to teach some of the music lessons belonging to my teacher at school. Then I moved on to adults for classical guitar, and wherever I went, there was always some form of music that I could actually lead on. And then when I trained and finished my trainings, I was teaching music as well. So for years it was children aged 3 up to 18. And then later on, it became students in teacher trainings, and then adults that were at the college as well. So it's been a long journey of teaching lots of people. The multicultural college particularly was amazing because, as I said, there were 42 different nationalities, and you just knew that your work was then going out all over the world. You know, I still have students now coming on Facebook saying, you know, I'm still using what you gave me in the course, it still works. And, you know,
Right.
I find that very generous of them, that they come back, you know, and let me know that things are still working. You know,
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the beautiful part of teaching as well, because you create long lasting relationships and you know that you're actually changing lives. And when you see your, I would say, children really growing up and becoming something, it's like you as a teacher actually get to be a proud parent over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, I always say I've had hundreds of children, you know, and now I'm seeing them with their own children, and that's amazing, you know, really amazing. And you know, about that defending you, I mean, there is a strong mummy tiger in me, you know, and I will protect, you know, when I see something's not right, I will do that.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that. So, you know, suddenly, like I wasn't even expecting, and you came out of nowhere and protected me without going into who the person was and everything. But it really, for a second, I was feeling like, oh my God, even today. And then that's one of the very inspirational groups because everybody there is actually supposed to be, motivational speakers and coaches and everything. And somebody comes at me out of nowhere to kind of imply something that just was very offensive. So, and I understand you say, there's a mummy tiger in you, but does it also have to do with, like, since you have seen and worked as taught so many nationalities, did that play a part in sort of your reaction and understanding how I felt?
Yeah, it did, because I mean, from the age of 17, I actually lived in different communities, and the English people were in a minority. There was about 3, and everybody else was German, Dutch, Danish, Swedish. So suddenly, it's a different experience when you're actually with people that don't have the same cultural barriers. I used to be quite shy, actually, up until that point, and that point was really helped me to somehow enter the social situation a bit more. And I've heard a lot of criticism about Germans and all things down the history, down the ages, and I find it very difficult because I know real people that are good people that have contributed to the world and contributed to the lives of others, and that they have to be carrying some kind of guilt for something that was not their doing, whatever nationality or situation it was. I do find that intolerable, I have to say. It's not good. No,
Absolutely.
so it did affect me, yeah, because of all those people that are real people to me,
Absolutely. And I think that's, as you said, the mummy tiger in you, the teacher who has seen so many nationalities, understands the culture. And I think that is one of the things that's required these days. The exposure to cultures changes minds, because I think the phobia is because we don't know something. We don't understand something, so we get scared. We create all sorts of notions in our minds. I quickly want to say hi to Patty. She's just tuned in. She's one of the good friends. Thank you. You're gorgeous as well. Thank you. You're just making me blush right now, right? She's amazing. She's incredible. I can't wait to have her on my show, but she's too busy. So, Patty, this is your call to action. So, let's talk about teaching. That's what we're here for today. And teaching has changed so much as a profession. The society has changed a lot, the systems have changed a lot, the entire attitude towards teaching has changed. So from your time to now, how do you think, teachers themselves, how do you think they have changed?
I do think that society's had quite a change, quite a part to play in it, because, for example, when I was first teaching, you could use an imagination to discipline a child. If children were misbehaving, I could always use some character in a story that had something to say. And that was it. That's all you needed to do. But I noticed that as time went on, it was like human beings in general just stopped respecting each other, and they didn't respect you anymore because you were the teacher. You had to earn that as a person, and if they respected you as a person, that was okay. But if they didn't, then they wanted to kick against some kind of system. And parenting had changed hugely as well. So I grew up with very strict parenting, and it was that children should be seen and not heard, sort of thing. And if I'd been in trouble in school, it would have been me that was in trouble at home. But it wasn't like that anymore. Suddenly, the parents would come in and tell the teachers off because their child had been, in trouble in school. So you couldn't anymore. You couldn't work with the parent and teacher working together with mutual respect. Things had changed. Parents wanted to be their friends more. They didn't want to be disciplinarians. They wanted to send their children to school for us to be them. But of course that can't work, because unless it's coming from two sides, it can't happen. So there were a lot of changes just in humanity somehow.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say how we are trying to be friends and everything, but there's another factor that you just mentioned. Teachers are now wanting, parents are now wanting the teachers to take over sort of their role. But I also find it's also like they just want to get rid of the responsibility and hand it over to somebody else to teach the basic manners, basic respect. In somehow teachers are responsible for everything, while parents, I think what I'm trying to ask is, it's school time has become more like, oh, thank God I don't have the children anymore. I think that's the attitude I don't understand. Like it's not about education, it's about getting rid of children. How do you feel about that?
I think, yeah, I mean, this lockdown has shown that up quite a bit. You know, if you look on social media, how many parents are struggling with the fact that they have to have their, child around. I think one of the things that's changed for them, though, is when I was growing up, for example, my mother was at home. She did work, but she was always at home when we were at home. Whereas now both parents work, people can't afford to, be one of them at home. So that has made a pressure on them where they, need the children to go to school so they can also get on with their work and get the money to keep the family. So that's a pressure that wasn't there when I was younger. So I think that's got, quite a lot to do with it as well. Plus the fact that children, a lot of children today, they kind of talk to adults as if they were talking to their mate across the fence. I've been quite sort of shocked by that, really, that they don't have a sense of distance. I mean, if I was standing outside the headmaster's office, I would be absolutely shaking, really nervous. But
I agree.
And now it's just like, oh, hiya, sir, it's a different kind of confidence than we had. And, and it's not the children's fault and it's not the parents' fault. It's what's happened, what we've inherited somehow. But I really think it can't work, unless the two sides work together. And then
absolutely. And I think even though I understand, I remember if for any reason, I have never been called, but if for any reason I was called even in senior teacher's office or something, it was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I knew I hadn't, but there was a fear. And I think it wasn't a bad fear. It was a good fear. It kind of, I think it made you more accountable because you wanted to not get in trouble. And I think that was it. But I find overall, and I come from a family of teachers, my parents were teachers. So I find I see it from a different perspective. I've seen teachers and my parents, I see how much they put in. I see how much they invest into the teachers, into the students, how they know every student's story, their life, their journey. So I think it's a very special bond, but it's kind of getting, as you're saying, it's disconnecting. It's, the connection is not there anymore, where teacher and students used to have this bond, this respect, and there was this affection as well that was very unique.
Yeah, I think as well, what's happened is much more has been demanded of teachers from outside, whether that's local education authorities, government. So what has happened is that the actual teachers, you've got less contact time in a way, and more paperwork to do. And the good jobs in a way if you've got any learning support staff, because they're the ones that get to be with them, but you get further and further away because you just don't have the time, and that's so sad.
Absolutely. The systems and the paperwork, I totally agree. And we'll continue this conversation in a second. We'll just take a quick break. So guys, we'll be back in a minute. And guys.
Hi, my name is Rick Hyland. I'm all about continuous improvement. When I was 26 years old, I wrote a mission statement that defined and helped me find my strengths, my best self, and my future. And it was written about continuous improvement. I went on to do management consulting for a medium-sized consulting firm that took me around the world for 31 years. I finished as COO of North American operations. And what we did is on-site performance improvement. We helped large clients, large companies improve, working with their team, not doing any layoffs, just working with their team, setting goals, doing performance improvement events and helping them get better, sharper, faster. I retired a year ago and I started a company by myself, a one-on-one coaching company called CI for Life, or Continuous Improvement for Life. So I'm continuing my passion and my mission around continuous improvement. And recently I just wrote a book called Live Your Purpose, a step-by-step guide to living your best life. I'm excited to tell you more about it, excited to tell you how you can actually develop your own purpose and live your best life. I'm excited to tell you how to integrate your goals and your weekly and daily planning with that purpose. And then, of course, how do you stay on purpose once setbacks happen, when trials happen? How do you stay on purpose through good practice and principles like gratitude and acceptance, etc.? So I'm excited to tell you more. Hi, I'm Rick Hyland, president of CI for Life, and you're watching Leaders of Change on Dream Maniac TV.
And that's another show coming next time on February 9th at 9 a.m. Melbourne time, or February 8th at 5 p.m. New York time. So stay tuned. And we'll be right back with Helen Bawden. And here we are. If you just tune in right now, I'm Szebastian One, the Almost Naked CEO. You're watching Almost Naked Conversation, and I'm here because I care and because I give a damn. With me is wonderful Helen Bawden. She is a teacher, an artist, an incredible human being, a humanitarian, and I know personally how incredible she is. So Helen, we were talking about teaching, the obstacles, how the culture is changing everything, So the obstacles that we face right now as teachers are both systemic and social. So you were talking about the paperwork. Tell us a little bit more about how it has changed, because I remember during the time of my parents, I never heard of this thing called paperwork. So what's happening now?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, so up until, I don't know, I was about 40. Yeah, I think I was just 40, and I'd actually never written a session plan in terms of what's expected now. I always wrote my own notes, kept my own notebook. There was nothing I had to do. I just worked in the way that I wanted to work, it made sense to me. So I wrote it all down, word for word, and exactly what I wanted. But it wasn't a requirement, and no one asked to see it. It was simply for me. But as the years went on, then I don't know if you've heard of Ofsted, which is our UK, what are they? They're a kind of, what's the word? I can't think what the word is, but they come from outside to moderate everything and make sure that it's all to a particular standard. Right. And when I was working in Steiner education, that's what I was working in. We didn't have anything like that, no paperwork whatsoever.
Right. And that's I know what you're talking about. We have same in Australia. We have same in almost every country happening. There's so much audit and everything. But this also brings me to another thing. There's a social point to that as well. Unfortunately, there have been cases, situations where it has led to child abuse. It has led to situations that are extremely unfortunate, untoward, and I think there's a trust that has broken between the society and the teaching community, and to bring that accountability, all these systems have been put in place.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand the intention is right. In fact, I take that back. I understand the reason is right, but is the intention right? I feel like as if it's just to cover their backs and just not to take the responsibility and like that. So how do you feel about all that paperwork and everything?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, we have a very hot now, which never was when I was younger. I never heard of it, but safeguarding, for example, and there's masses of trainings about that and paperwork to go through if a student or child, says anything, discloses anything. You've got to follow everything up. Or if a teacher said the wrong thing in front of a student that was listening, then that became something as well. It's just gone to, I think it's the extreme, you go from one extreme to the other. So first we never had anything, and then suddenly you have the other extreme, and that's too far as well. I mean, obviously you've got to err on the side of caution to make sure everybody is safe, but as I say,
the political correctness has gone way overboard. And I think what is happening is, and I see that, as you were saying, the whole society is changing. Everybody's trying to put the blame and burden on somebody else rather than looking within. I personally feel like my experience says when I was putting blames on others, I wasn't growing, I wasn't changing, I wasn't evolving. When I started to look at, okay, so what am I doing wrong before I point at somebody else? Life changed. Everything changed, and I think that is missing a lot.
I think it is as well. And when you want to judge other people, I kind of think, there but for the grace of God go I. You might be the one in trouble for this today, but it might be me tomorrow. We've got to support each other as well. I don't mean cover up anything, but just don't be so judgmental with each other, right? Because and also the way we work as well, like where I work, you don't get a minute to yourself. We haven't got a staff room. We don't have a lunch break or a tea break. If you smoke, you might get to go out for 10 minutes and smoke. But if you don't, you're still there. So you have no headspace ever when students are not around you. And that sort of thing leads you to make mistakes if you're not, if you're extra tired or something. Right. You make a mistake, and everybody lives in fear of making a mistake because of
you're human after all, right? And Patty is agreeing with the conversation we are having. She says, thank you, you two are incredible. You are too, Patty, and I saw you're committed, so yes, you better start the process and we need to bring you on as a guest. And Patty was also saying something about teachers. She's like, I'm blown away with the money teachers spend from their own pocket. That has always been true. I've seen my parents doing it. Yes. I've seen my teachers doing it. I have seen every teacher do this.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder, and she says, yes, they're overloaded as well. Sometimes I wonder, do teachers even get to take away much salary?
No, not really. I laugh because I always say to myself, teaching is the one profession that you steal from home to take to work. And it is like that, and if you go out with a group, and somebody hasn't got some money, or a couple of students don't have money and the others can all buy an ice cream or something and these can't, I couldn't not buy them one. I just couldn't. I mean, I'm not supposed to, but what would morally, humanly, it's just not okay, is it?
That's, as a teacher, you're even making sure that they don't feel demotivated as well in the process. So, and as we talk about that too, teachers are very emotionally involved with their students. It's, even when a teacher, I remember this from my experience, and I'm going to say this today, the teachers I hated the most are the teachers I miss the most today, because they were the ones who taught me what I really needed to know now.
That's interesting.
Those strict teachers are the people who actually taught me lessons that are useful now. Because in the moment, I hated them because they wanted me to do the right thing. They wanted me to follow the process. They wanted me to learn something that I didn't like at all.
Yes.
Right? But today, it all makes sense. For example, I absolutely, with all my heart and soul, hate mathematics. Hate.
Have you asked me to teach?
But thanks to the teachers that I hated because of the subject, Today, I can calculate, I can run a business without asking everybody how to do this. So
yeah. I think that's an important thing as a teacher, that when you're teaching, the important thing is to make the connection between what you're trying to teach them and life, what they're going to need it for. I remember learning some things in maths, like logarithms, and it's like, whatever did I need a logarithm for? I've never met one since. So
right.
The more bridges you can make to real life and what that means and what you can do as a result and what you're empowered to do, because if the teacher's not there, you've got to actually do it yourself. And that's the mark of good teaching, if they can do that.
Right. And, as we're talking about, so there's also other aspects of society that are making teaching a difficult job. I have now in my life witnessed violence against teachers. And I'm talking about from students, from parents, from the system. And I mean, really from all of them. Harassment at workplace by the managements, parents who are not happy with the result they were expecting coming at teachers, students who are intimidated of their families coming at teachers. So have you ever experienced any of this?
Yeah, quite frequently where I am, because I actually work with young adults with learning disabilities, and so some of them do have difficulties with managing their emotions and managing their behavior. So sometimes they can be really upset and they can't quite tell you what that is, and so they end up punching you or punching the wall or something. That's a side of it I do find, for personal reasons, very difficult, but I understand it as well, because they've got to find a voice, they've got to find an appropriate expression. So that's what you've then got to work on. So that it's not wrong that they feel like that, but it is wrong that that the behavior then follows. So you've got to put.
But do you think that also comes from home, because they see something at home and they feel it's okay to behave that way? It's okay to treat teachers that way, because they spend the equal time awake, equal time asleep, and equal time with the parents, right? So they're with parents, they're with teachers. While it's your job to teach them to be a better human being, to be a better citizen, I think something is failing at home, because of which this is coming to school as well.
Yeah, that is a very difficult thing when they're actually modeling behavior that they experience, elsewhere, be that home or wherever they are. That's very, very difficult. Yes.
So, which brings us to, the solutions, which we'll talk about. We've been told there's another break, so we'll take a quick break and come back. And before we go on break, I just want to say that the next show is coming up, Unleash Leaders of Change with Rick Hyman. So here's a little preview.
Hi, my name is Rick Hyland. I'm all about continuous improvement. When I was 26 years old, I wrote a mission statement that defined and helped me find my strengths, my best self, and my future. And it was written about continuous improvement. I went on to do management consulting for a medium-sized consulting firm that took me around the world for 31 years. I finished as COO of North American operations. And what we did is on-site performance improvement. We helped large clients, large companies improve, working with their team, not doing any layoffs, just working with their team, setting goals, doing performance improvement events and helping them get better, sharper, faster. I retired a year ago and I started a company by myself, a one-on-one coaching company called CI for Life, or Continuous Improvement for Life. So I'm continuing my passion and my mission around continuous improvement. And recently I just wrote a book called Live Your Purpose, a step-by-step guide to living your best life. I'm excited to tell you more about it, excited to tell you how you can actually develop your own purpose and live your best life. I'm excited to tell you how to integrate your goals and your weekly and daily planning with that purpose. And then, of course, how do you stay on purpose once setbacks happen, when trials happen? How do you stay on purpose through good practice and principles like gratitude and acceptance, etc.? So I'm excited to tell you more. Hi, I'm Rick Hyland, president of CI for Life, and you're watching Leaders of Change on Dream Maniac TV.
And guys, make sure to subscribe to Dreamaniac TV on YouTube. And if you want to be a guest on one of our shows, simply go to dreamaniac.com and click on Be a Guest, and we'll see you there. And you're watching Almost Naked Conversation with me and Sebastian on it, Almost Naked CEO. I'm here because I care and because I give a damn. With me is our beautiful guest, Helen Bawden, and we're talking about teaching to empower. We've just covered on the issues teachers are facing today, how the system is changing, the society is changing, and teaching as a job, what we need to do to solve these problems. So Helen, we've been talking about, what teaching has been, what it has become, and the challenges that are now being teacher in this situation. And then the lockdown doesn't make it easy. It's driving everybody crazy. Yeah, so as a teacher, how has the lockdown and the entire situation changed for everything for you?
The change from not face-to-face to actually being on Zoom all day long is very different, and that's actually had an interesting effect on I would say 3/4 of the students, or at least my ones, are actually surprisingly receptive to it and managed quite well with it. And they're there every week, and they're excellent. We're doing well. But then there's another percentage which find that very, very difficult, and so they're now avoiding. So, they won't turn up on the Zoom or things like that. So I think it really has separated students that need a teacher's ego, if you like, to actually act, and what happens to them if they don't have that leader to follow, and they get
absolutely. And I think virtual thing is also creating it so difficult too, because there's a different command you have in the classroom, and there's different sort of, as you said, if they don't turn up, what can you really do other than sort of reaching out to the parents? Have the parents reached out to you and complain about certain things about, virtual studies or children not really coping with it?
I've in several groups on Facebook, and I do hear that is hard, and I know parents that are really struggling because the child just refuses to do their work at home, which I happen to think is understandable, because home is meant to be home. It's not supposed to be
right.
Classroom, and suddenly you're having to take teacher kind of orders from your parents, which you don't want to, and I can understand.
Everybody is being schooled.
Yeah, it's not good, but I personally have had very good feedback from parents who've been just really grateful that we are there, because we're not just sending worksheets home, just do these worksheets. We're there every day. I mean, I'm doing all my lessons are there every day. So they are grateful. I mean, we have lots of trouble with our Wi-Fi, with the tech, it's all, but they don't mind, because they can see how much we care and how much we put into it, and we turn up and they see that their student, because they don't see their students how they are at college. Now when they're at home and they're watching how they react with us and how they work with us, I think that's heartened them quite a bit. And I didn't know he could do that,
yeah, you can make my child do that. Great. The other thing is, even though it has been difficult, but again, irrespective of the medium, at the end of the day, it's the same relationship, the teacher and the student. And I think that respect, even though we're questioning that respect is still there. How they listen to the parents and how they listen to the teacher is different. It is still different, and it's always going to be. So let's talk about the solutions as well. What do you think needs to change as a teacher for you in the society, in the system, for things to get better and teaching to become a more, once again, become a job that was loved, I believe.
I think two things, and one that we touched on with the paperwork. I would wish that we would cut back on some of the paperwork, which is like, you do the same thing 3 or 4 times over, sort of thing. If we could streamline paperwork so that it didn't take time away from the relationship that you're building with the student, that would be one thing. But the other is just the picture that teachers seem to have out there now. I mean, on Facebook, I see it so often, the complaints that teachers have all these holidays, all the summer and all the Easter, and and
Right.
it's simply not true. Teachers are working all through the holidays. They're planning, they're having ideas. They're lucky if they take a week or 2 weeks in the summer, and you're in the college, you're cleaning the college, you're painting the classroom. It's that's led to a sort of feeling of disrespect for teachers, thinking, oh, you've got an easy job, all these holidays.
Right.
So that's really detrimental. And of course, the children hear that as well. So children all often mimic what the parents' attitude is. So if the parents are busy talking about those teachers that are just having an easy life, then the child is going to think the same thing. And
Exactly.
that's such a pity, and that makes such.
And children are impressionable. What they hear, what they see is exactly what they believe as well, and they start doing as well. So I agree. It is very important that respect needs to begin from the parents itself, and then learning also. There is learning at school, but there's also learning at home that has to happen, because at the end of the day, it's a shared responsibility. And I agree, paperwork, whether reduced or not, it needs to be streamlined so it's easy. And especially in today's world, everything is digital. Why not make it more easier? Just make it easier so it's, I would say, multiple choice questions rather than having to write everything. Just yes or no, or something like that. But also, I think the attitude of the system also has to change, because I personally feel teachers and teaching community and education has become the last priority. Whether we talk about the budgets, whether we talk about the systems, whether we talk about the facilities, whether we talk about the support, it's next to negligible. And it's almost like it's the last thing the governments and the system think about.
Yeah, it's awful when they just keep taking things out of the curriculum, like no music suddenly, or no drama or no sport. And it's like, well, don't you understand what that actually, contributes to a child's development and growth? This is so important. It's not head learning, it's body learning, it's body experience. It embeds a lot of the other subjects when you do music or sport or drama, and also what I think is important too is that people have forgotten like what it used to be like, which was that a child would grow up and they would respect their parents, and their parents were gods and what they said went. And part of child development next is that they accept a step away from the family, and that's the next person that they learn to look up to and respect, because they are looking for people to respect and look up to. And so that's needed, the respect for the parents, then a step away. I let my child go to another person that they are going to respect, and so it goes on as a ripple into the world, so Absolutely. When it breaks down between that relationship, the parent and the teacher, that's really sad, because that's an opportunity missed, a huge opportunity missed.
Absolutely. And I think with this change right now happening that we are going through, it's a great opportunity for us to learn how we can all work together, how we can all cooperate in the most difficult situations and really create something good. Because I don't think we would have survived. I know there's a lot of life loss happening. There's immensely, I don't even have words to say what the world is going through right now, but there's something still keeping us all together. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen with teaching community, with parents, with students. This is the time for us to learn how we can work together and help each other and support each other. Because at the end of the day, education is the key to everything.
Yeah, and that for me has been the biggest good takeaway from this lockdown situation, was to be able to work with parents at home, so that I could work with them, with the parent at home and the child or student at home, and we started to work together. If there were difficulties with them, we would talk about it, the parent and I could say, why don't you try this, and then they'd go and try it. And it might work or it might not. And together we came up with, strategies for how to structure that person's day, how to get them into the best frame of mind of learning, through the day. What do they need? That was fantastic. And I thought we really, really shouldn't lose this relationship that we've now built, because it is two halves of one coin. And when that works well, that's it. You've got gold then.
Absolutely. Well, Helen, this has been wonderful. But before we, say goodbye to you, how can people get in touch with you if they want to contact you? How can they get in touch with you?
I'm on social media a lot. I'm on Facebook. My name's Helen Bawden, as you know, but I've also got a page about teaching, and it's called Hey Helen, Teaching and Learning Mentor. So that's a Facebook page, and the same, and on Instagram it's Hey Helen, Teaching Mentor, because I wasn't allowed to have learning. And I've got a website also that's at Hey Helen, learningmentor.com as well.
And people can find all that information on this link that we have just put up there, influencers.romania.com/Helen. That's where you'll find all the information that Helen has just shared, and also get in touch with her in any other shows she comes to on Romaniac TV as well. And Helen, recently, just, you told me yesterday, you went on another show. What was that about, if it's okay to share?
Oh, that was wonderful. That was I'm in a Facebook community which is called Calmpreneur, and that is for business owners that kind of want a calm space, in a very noisy social media. And the lovely lady, she's called Susanna Butcher, and she's the Queen of Calm, and she runs her group, on that for business people. And so she interviews from time to time, and she interviewed me yesterday about this, what I'm trying to do for myself, as the teaching and my own business with the students. And so that's what we were talking about. And then we managed to weave into their self-care, because of course teachers need, everybody, business owners, everybody needs to do self-care, to sort of balance what you're giving out. Make sure you give it to yourself, otherwise you become burnt out. So yeah, that was so much fun too. That was lovely.
Wow, that's beautiful. I just want to quickly acknowledge a couple of comments that I saw coming in. My friend Alicia Pitts, Reverend Alicia Pitts, was just here. Hello, Alicia. Nice to see you here.
She was brilliant.
She's amazing. Thank you, Patty, for watching all the way. We really, really love you. Wish now Ketawaro. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Hi, thank you for watching. He's watching on Facebook, and it's just beautiful. Helen, one message. What would you give to the society or other teachers or to community today as a teacher? What is your one message that you want to share?
I think the one thing I would say is that it still matters who you are, who your ethos is, what your ethos is, how you walk in the world, how you see other people, what your own attitudes are, what your own prejudices are. And as long as you're walking that talk, that will speak, to children, to students, to parents. That, I think, is the most important thing, to be authentic and to be real.
Thank you so much, Helen. I really, really appreciate you. We will be back with you. I know in March you're coming on Confidence with Lindley. So guys, check out Romaniac TV. Helen will be back on Confidence with Lindley show. And as the name says, it will be all about confidence. And that's the little previews you saw earlier. So Helen, please stay in the green room. Don't go anywhere. I'll be in touch with you in 1 second.
Thank you very much.
No worries. It was my pleasure. So that was the almost naked conversation about teaching, teachers, and what's happening in the society right now with the education system. Things that are great, things that are challenging, things that need to change. And being child of teachers, I understand the investment teaching is, the passion it requires, and the love it has, but also the pains, the struggles, the challenges. And from that time to now, I see so much change that sometimes it's scary. Why are we teaching why are we treating teachers the way we are? And I think it is time now to take into account that teachers are the people who are creating this world, who are making this world, who are changing this world, and we do need to respect them. We need to value them, and also teachers have to be in this profession for passion, for drive, for giving their best as well. So I think it's both sides have to work together and give each other respect, love, and all they've got to creating a beautiful future, because right now more than ever we need it. So thank you so much for watching. Until next, please take care, and as always, dream big and make it happen.